Okay, I think we are being recorded.
Beautiful.
Here is Norelyn, and
Yes.
here is me. And I'm so happy that you're in my life. I can tell you just, just as a person living during these times, with all of that I have in my life, your presence has been very, very special for me. Just to know that I'm not alone, that I'm not, the only crazy person who is hedonist and who believes in sex and in love and who believes in the magic and that, this is the spirituality. It's all one. It's not separate. Everything is holy when you look at your body with, just awareness and kindness and non-impulsivity.
It's such an integral part of who we are, sensuality and embodiment. And looking back at how long I've known you, we've known each other for at least 5 years, I feel like. And it's been an
This is well
absolute
how we met, how we met, right? Yeah.
yeah, we were. Yeah, should I share a little bit? Just really
Yeah,
quickly?
yeah,
I mean,
you can share whatever
it
you
was
want to, whatever you feel.
yeah, because normally in fields that we work in, therapy or sex coaching, intimacy coaching, relationship coaching, these kinds of work, sometimes we meet others in kind of other work environments. But I happen to be working at this spa, and so it was a surprise for me to come across you. And I was just doing my thing, and it was a part-time job. And then I felt you as a guest. I was like, oh, I really am just so curious. Who is this person? And my heart was racing. And I let you enjoy your spa day. But it was like, before you leave, I just had to have this conversation with you. And this part I don't remember exactly, but I remember the sensation I had in my body. And I remember saying, Norelyn, you have to listen to this and at least invite an extra minute of conversation. And if she meets you in the middle and continues the conversation, great. If not,
Mm.
perhaps we weren't meant to connect on that way. But the charge I felt in my body, and I decided to listen to it. And then we had a conversation and we stayed connected. I don't know if you want to share about how you felt when we crossed paths, but I felt a strong desire to chat with you.
Yeah, I just yeah, that was the Asha bus that I really, really love. And that environment, that someone created, it just always blows my mind, that there are people in this world, in this busy, crazy world that's so, I don't know, doesn't appreciate the wisdom of the body, doesn't honor the body. It's so spread, in the world. Um, the abuse of the body. There are these people in these places that are literally a sanctuary. It was very quiet, You need to, and there's a gong that if it's, people begin to talk too loudly, you can, bang the gong, and it's a gentle way to tell people, let's just go back into quiet. And I was very much, I think even right now as I'm talking about it, I'm a little nervous. I'm beginning to be nervous because something about it makes me be seen in a way, I think, that in other settings I can hide.
Mm.
So I was like opening and relaxing and enjoying myself. And then I was met by you and by your eyes. And I was like, this is another human being. I think this is where I experience safety and connection, where it's like there is another sensual sister, essentially. Like this is what went through my mind. There is another sensual woman who can really understand my language. She understands, she understands this. She understands how precious it is. She's one of these people who create this kind of environments, and you need to live in a certain way in your body to be in such place. So this is where I felt like the energy kind of went between us.
And I really do credit a space like Asha for creating an environment where human beings can drop into their body and their sensitivity to connecting with others. It's designed for as a place to tune and turn inward, but at the same time, our walls do need to come down before we recognize others in a space that we might want to connect with. And eventually, we kept the conversation going over the years, over lockdown. I think I met you right before COVID and lots of
Mm-hmm.
world changes. And we stayed connected through email. What are you thinking?
What went through my mind is like when you mentioned COVID, and I remember 2 weeks before COVID, I was telling my friend Veronica, I was like, I love you so much. I've been working for her in my son's kindergarten at that time, my son's school. And I was like, listen, if I could right now, I would just leave at this point, this work as your assistant, and I would just open my business because like everyone needs to go on the retreat. The entire world needs to go on the retreat. And she knew my work. She felt, the session. Um, and this is what happened between the two of us too, just the conversation, just how we were talking. And then for me also to see it reflect back to me, these connections, these friendships. I think this is also why she's coming now into my mind. But then what I laughed because I'm thinking about a guy who is saying like maybe you should stop dreaming about global peace because from the moment you started, it just seems that it's getting worse and worse. And in my specific, like just think about it from my specific personal perspective, it's like literally I said I want the world to go on retreat, COVID hits. I said I want to quit, and like the school shuts down. Then the thing with Guy that we have to be separate.
Yeah.
Um, when I said you need to come on the November 11th, this is when we needed to be married on that day, and he's like, no, this is nonsense. Uh, like you see, well now you always can create a never mind. But yeah, it's just the macro and micro, the desire of just one heart and one mind and commitment to this. And yeah, maybe this is where we are going, to how deep, how important the connection to body is, because it's the soul lives here and now. There is nothing else, in terms of what you can experience as a humanity. We can look back, we can see people have been fighting forever and the world has been violent forever. In many, many places. And at the same time, at the same world, there were people who were able and are able to create these different realities.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, shortly after meeting you, right? COVID happened shortly after meeting you. I had similar thoughts. I've been dreaming a lot for how do I create spaces? How do I create containers? Because while I was working at Asha, I was trying to build my own practice. I was already a certified sex coach. I was already, completed my research. And I was just like, okay, I have all this knowledge and belief and desire and creativity, but I'm stuck in this mindset of work, 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 no play. When am I actually going to spread this and meet other people and create containers for other women and just anyone to experience their sensual selves again? And it took me a little bit to get there. And a big piece of this is this relationship that you and I developed first at the chance meeting, but then over continued conversations and now fast forward, I am finding myself in this place where I want to take my work into in person because you've had more experience doing in-person retreats at your beautiful
Mm-hmm.
location, which we're going to talk a little bit about. But I am just beginning to, and I think I really needed to experience your retreat for myself at
Yeah, I
Encounterland.
wonder if you want to talk about that maybe because you actually were also a person who experienced it as a client, and now I think it's also beautiful. And now you're going to be the one who is going to be mainly kind of taking the ship.
Whew, yes. So this
In
was,
terms of like, I'm going to be more embodying that component of the container and food
yeah.
and, me and Guy. And you are going to be the one who is, just the voice, the teacher.
Yeah, and in I think it was November of last year, I saw you post that you were going to do a Women's Day, which included a sauna, meditation, and walking around in the forest and this beautiful property. And from the pictures alone, I thought, wow, this is magnificent. But knowing it
Mm-hmm,
was not only a space you selected, it's a space that you've cultivated because you live on the property as well, which is
mm-hmm.
absolutely magical. And I thought, okay, you and I have talked enough. Now I need to feel the work you do. So I experienced it purely as a client and well, client, right? Client attendee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I showed
Guess.
up a
Yeah,
guest.
I like
That's
to
the word
say
I'm
guess.
looking
I
for. Guest.
guess.
Thank you, thank you. Uh, yeah, I showed up as a guest and I completely won over by this magical location and magical home. As you can see,
That is now looking different. I think like people who know this place, they're like, "What? What happened? It was a white house with a green trim. What have you done to it?" Well,
I adore it though. I cannot wait to see this in person again, but it's so gorgeous. And this is after you drive down a little path, you come up
you come up
here.
here. Let's see if I can turn the camera.
Yeah. I mean, you're
Oh,
beautiful too.
oh.
Oops. I see
Thank you. It's because I have a. It's because yeah, I have the whole. But it's here.
there we
Let's see
go.
now. I can.
Ah,
And
yes.
you can maybe keep sharing, and I will be taking us on a
Yeah,
visual
of
adventure.
course. Yeah, and the first thing I noticed was the silence. And this is something I take for granted, and I think a lot of us take for granted is the amount of sound we're exposed to, even in more or less quiet neighborhoods. It's still not as quiet as a forest can be in the afternoon, in the evening. And it took me at least 30 minutes to fully relax into this space because of my own nervous system being supercharged and realizing, oh, it's okay to let go. It's okay to let go. Um, yeah. So walking around
As
this
you are
space.
speaking, there is a bird. There's like bursting into her song.
Oh, oh, I can't hear it. Oh,
Yeah, it's I think what you're transmitting right now, it's that experience. I really that it took you a while to notice the difference, that this is still same you, this is still same mind and consciousness and same body, but thanks to the setting, something changes.
yes. Thanks to the setting, I was able to tap in. I like to say in my work, we get stuck in neck up versus neck down. And a lot of times, most of the time, we are stuck in this neck up space and we don't allow ourselves to drop in below. And that requires us to literally consciously tell our bodies, hey, it's okay to take deeper breaths. hey, it's okay to move slow. And your energy was really helpful grounding me in this space because I remember getting out of my car and I was rushing to say, "Oh, where do I park? Where do I do this? Where do I put my stuff?" And you just met me with the calmest energy and said, "Hey, it's okay. Relax. Walk around. We're not starting for another 30 minutes. I'll see you then." And then you allowed me to just kind of wander until it was time to meet in the house, right?
Yeah, and this is, I think, where we sat. I think before that you came to me, but before that we came and we were talking about doing retreat together, actually. And I remember we sat over
Uh-huh.
here. Do you remember? And then you came, I think,
Hmm.
to my retreat because you probably were like, okay, I have to experience it for myself before I, you know, look what beautiful flower came out. And
Yes.
then it, yeah.
And during the retreat, yeah, I sat here for with you for a couple hours over tea while we were dreaming up what we could do together. And you said, "Well, why don't you come? Come to the retreat that I'm having." I think it was like in a month's time. And I said, "Of course, I'll be there." And you guided us through a beautiful sauna ceremony, which I've done sauna before, but this was something special. Not only the location, but having this more privacy and intimate space. And also, I don't know the names of some of the things you taught us. I can't remember, but it was a really beautiful ceremony. Um, and cold as well.
Yeah. So there is a sauna, there is a cold
Mhm.
plunge, and there is a
There we
hot
go.
tub. I was for a
Yes.
moment thinking to sell it just because I don't like the fact that I need to use chlorine water. But it's so amazing. I cannot let go of it. And, I already had enough people telling me, like, listen, let's just be a little bit rational here. Not just, not just super sensitive, but also use the knowledge and the science that we, have. And chlorine is
Yeah.
not, it's like, it's not killing you. If it was killing you, people were not using it in all the pools in the world, right? So it's like, um yeah, there is, I know for some people there is debate around it, but and when you get more
I will.
sensitive you
Yeah, but I will say my experience, and I'm somebody who has sensitive skin, and no, I had such a great time, and I could tell you took very good care of it, but it was not so strong, and it felt very, very good. Yeah, so after experiencing your retreat, and I was I had to be careful driving home because I was on this another planet, another plane of existence after your retreat. And it closed, I believe, I mean, we had a beautiful lunch on the backside of the house, and it was
Mhm.
with seven other women that we took turns in the sauna and had the deepest conversations
Can I
because we were
interrupt
open.
you for a sec? I know it may be like weird for many Americans, probably, but can you imagine here a bunch of naked women? Just what it does to you when you just sit together, only body, there is nothing else. There is a
Yes.
reason why I think in Slavic cultures, like there is this stereotype of like powerful men making their meetings in banya, and there are all kinds of nasty sides to it, to this culture. But there is also something really beautiful about the fact that you're naked. You're sitting with other people that you barely know, but you're completely honest, in that way. And but also the other side of it, it's like you understand we're so similar in some way. We're so similar, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and I lived in Germany for 3 years, and sauna culture, it's really a part of everyday life for many people in Germany, and I learned about the power of that as well. And so it had been a long time since there's fewer opportunities to be nude in saunas if you want to in the US. And it was really nice to have this curated experience where I knew there's 8 women signing up for your retreat that wanted to open up, open those channels for journaling and conversation over a good, nourishing meal, which does something really powerful for the psyche, knowing that the food that you're eating is also nourishing your body and sharing in community. And your 1 day retreat hit all of those points. The mental space, the physical space, the vulnerability, the reflection, forest bathing in nature.
Yeah, the safety, because unfortunately, those places are not necessarily safe, where you can be, at least from my experience, where you can be naked, and it's mixed gender. There can be some weird, vibes, and just not. I mean, I had a friend who I believe went to eventually court against Harbin hot springs, one place that many people know in Bay Area,
Oh, I'm familiar. Okay. I didn't,
because
uh-huh.
how they handled when she was touched by a guy at the
Mhm.
facility, which shouldn't happen, right? When you go to this place where you don't expect something like this to happen. People don't, and that's the thing, when people are not living in their bodies and they're not satisfied they don't connect the spirit and the body. They don't understand. They also don't understand that when a woman excites you, or when a man excites you, it doesn't matter, when another body excites you, it doesn't mean that they are obligated to you in any way. It's your experience, it's your emotions. And some people just gosh, that's a door that I feel like I need to open. How much non-consensual sex is happening in marriages? That's terrible. That is really what is killing so many people, really.
Amen.
Sorry, the things that I've heard also a lot is like, but my husband needs it. He needs it.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
He's just going to
And
be
I
crazy if he doesn't.
exactly. I was gonna say something so similar in these
Can you help
30-minute
me? Can
appointments.
you help me? Can you help me? Because he's suffering, can you help me to and I know why she's asking me, because she's stuck. She has a bunch of kids with him. She needs him to change. I mean, she is stuck. She is stuck. You see? That's the
and
truth
and the
that no one
narrative,
is really talking about.
yeah, and the narrative, a lot of the women I talk to is that, well, what's wrong with me? Fix me. I'm broken, because they're able to sense, okay, I still love him. And they'll say things like, in the scheme of things, he's a good guy, or the relationship is perfect in every other way. And I go, okay, well, we're going to talk about that later. But like, they'll say, fix me. I'm broken. Where did my sex drive go? Where did my libido go? I'm checking a box. I have sex with him once a week just to make sure he gets what he needs. And then, okay, right. And it goes on and on and on. And then I asked them, I said, well, who says you're broken, first of all? Who told you that? And then they don't know. They're like, I said, because did the gynecologist tell you you're broken? And they're like, no. And right. And they have no answer. And they go, okay, so then who's telling you? And they're like, well, I guess I'm telling myself I'm broken. I said, okay, well, where along the way? And I asked them to tell me a little bit of their journey with sensual self and erotic self and creativity. And I start bringing these words to the conversation, and I can see they're getting lost already. And I go, okay. So let's first say and acknowledge you're not broken, but there's likely some missing things in the relationship in the realm of intimacy, not just sexual intimacy, but emotional intimacy and emotional intimacy with self as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
sometimes we can fill this well again by going to a space like this, where we acknowledge our own bodies and acknowledging other women and sensual energy. Because they're not broken.
Acknowledging our bodies, acknowledging other women, and that we are sensual.
Mm-hmm. And then we're
Or
not
how
alone.
did you say in the sensual?
Say again?
Did you say and that we are sensual? No, you said
Yeah.
yeah, and that we are sensual.
Mm-hmm. And that we're
It's
sensual.
essential to acknowledge that we are sensual. Do you see? I'm writing a musical. That's the thing. That's like this is how far I have been. How my husband would say the ship left the earth. You know, the musical.
Yeah. And I love that you're bringing some levity to this conversation and laughter and I try and bring that into my clients' sessions too. Like when
And I
I
also want to bring to it that very much this is what it means to be the revolutionist. This is what it means to be a warrior in these times for women who are in the reality where they actually choose their partners. Because if you can say, I love this person, I actually, when I do the spiritual, so this is maybe what I want to talk a little bit about. I think it's going to be very relevant to a lot of women who are married to, they've been living this free life for their entire life. They are born this way, right? They're born in the reality where they choose their partners. They're just
Mhm.
understanding with the time as we, as the consciousness works. One thing that is confusing for people, that they are not taught that you as a human being, as a personality, you are dynamic. You're not just this one very limited version. You're continuously evolving. If you're staying present with your sensuality, with your wisdom, you will see it's evolving because your body is changing, it's growing, your needs, you have different dreams, desires, it's changing, rearranging, right? It has to be very much taught and normalized. And um, so that's the beauty, because if you realize that you truly with your lover, that you look into the eyes of the partner that you're with, and you can feel one being, one soul, one heart, one love looping. I do think that there are a lot of people who feel this way, in the free world. They're just in general very quiet about it. They don't really talk about it, you know. But they have the greatest treasure. And from that, to go into exciting sexuality and multi orgasms, I had this couple where a woman didn't orgasm for 20 years. For 20 years. So clearly, from just the first session that we had, that was already a big shift. And to see this couple evolve, and heal in their healing, the work that also man has to do very much, right? Because when you that's kind of where I see the consciousness expands, the awareness expands. Each person understands that I need to do my work in being more sensitive and reading the cues, honoring it, and questioning myself if I have this idea in my mind that she owes me, that
Mm.
she owes me. Really? In Hebrew, which is this ancient patriarchal language, um, the way it has been evolved for so many years, and since then, I mean, patriarchy is very old. Uh, Husband is owner. That's the actual word in Hebrew, owner. But
Wow.
it also takes us to the desert, to the place where the again, if I'm looking as a story at the different, you know, like let's imagine we are in the world, because these people already have been in the world where women are conquered, everyone is conquered, and it's the strong men rule, right? but they still have those rules. They still have those rules that if you, so your woman is your, in your ownership, right? So you own her. When you are married, it's in this world, it's kind of a way to protect also a woman. Because if she's married to a good guy who she loves and he loves her, like imagine Aladdin's story, right? If they are
Mhm.
married, she, this woman, is going to be the most ecstatic, the most blissful person no matter where they go, whether they're poor or rich, which is why the princess is choosing Aladdin. She's not choosing a rich guy. She doesn't care about that. She knows that together they're going to be a power couple. So it's
Mhm.
almost like this love is of such a quality that if you find it in yourself, you need to find it in yourself. You have to be in this union with the spirit. Then the spirit is going to be guiding you to that partner. And then you kind of are like, who cares about the rest, right? Everyone is going to die. Everyone is going to, people get sick. Like life is life. But if you have that, then
And what you're saying right there is, I want to underline it, finding it in yourself
yes, that's the way
first.
to it. That's what
That's
have
the
been
way.
really hard. It was hard for me to communicate it to, that this is what I find actually. You have to have it first within you. It's about this union inside of you. And then the rest follows. It kind of adjusts itself. But you need to know to hold, you know, true. I'm true to myself. I feel me. I love me. And it's going to look different for every person.
For every person and over time, back to your use of the word evolution, and honoring, because this idea of being broken also comes with this idea of a sense of self that's rigid and a sense of sexuality and relationship that's rigid. And once it strays from where it was in the beginning, then it's deemed broken. And like you're saying, with how certain languages have baked into the words they have for labeling, husband versus wife, or, we could probably find in so many different cultures baked into the way, because language forms thought, right? And you just described a beautiful dichotomy of how it could be processed or translated in a negative sense, but how, if you're with a good partner, how that could be a really protective way of looking at the word. And this feeling and sense of brokenness often I find comes out of this rigidity of not being authentic, and then something feels like it's broken. And then the arrow for a lot of women gets pointed towards
Mm.
ourselves. And we're naturally in these roles where we're wearing lots of hats, and the modern woman is also having a job, also having the kids, also being a partner, also being a lover, but eventually the lover drops and they're just a partner who's checking off the box, and they've lost their
Mm-hmm.
essence of the lover and the seductress and all of this that's within their birthright as erotic
Playfulness.
beings.
Yeah, playfulness.
Playfulness. So how do we get back to that?
It's like how not to get sucked in the grind into the grind. I feel like there is like the at the very essence, the destructive force. It's the grind. It's like, no, this is how you do it. You have to do it. You have to do it this way. No, you don't. You freaking don't. Just, yeah, you freaking don't. That's where the mistake happens, where person thinks I have to um, denounce my body. I have to neglect it. I have to not listen to it. I have to be doing all these different things. It has to be this way. Or can we open to the possibility to something different and to start to reverse the thinking process into, but what do I want? To drop everything, to breathe, to feel, and to move with that, you know, and that's a very intimate process, and this is where I'm realizing what I think is hard for many people is to, and for me including, to understand that it's going to look very different for different people because our dharmas are different, our dreams are, we have different compositions as body, mind, spirit bundles.
What do you and explain for viewers dharma for us? Can you give us a little expansion on the word dharma?
Yeah. So dharma is from this realization that each soul, when they land into this body, on this planetary body, each piece of consciousness has their path. So there is desire. We can have all kinds of desires, and we know that as a you just need to look at the humanity to see if you truly also researching your sexuality and your desires, you see that you're just from the mainstream perspective, you're such a nutcase, right? Like I think almost everyone who probably who probably does this, there are all kinds of desires, they're contradicted, and pleasures that you derive from all kinds of you know things that from for the mainstream would be considered odd or weird, or but if you continue to observe in that, you will understand it comes from a certain religious puricist or puritanism kind of a way, just something that divides that this is where our trouble started. Aristotle. Yeah, I need to talk about Aristotle before I can talk about karma and dharma. um, like the person who was like, okay, no, it's just listen to me, women are inferior to men are sane, those are insane. That was the language, and still there are so many people who would quote that dude. Like we still very much appreciate him. But to me it's like, whoa, that's just sick. That's just so sick. It's like how deep the illness is. um yeah. So dharma means that when you live in unity with your body, with your spirit, that we already established, it's all one. There is no division. You research it, you get to know yourself, and you also get to connect to your calling. For each one of us, there is something, there is a certain image, there is a certain vision that makes us. This is where sex comes handy. You need to know this super expensive multi-orgasmic experience to understand that not only, I mean, at least for me, not only my guy can cause me that, but also my visions can cause me that. It's just, it's almost like you really invert into your desire. You don't divert from it. You're genuinely, I like how Layla Martin is saying, it's what do you want and how do I get it? What do I want? How do I get it? You're literally in that um, perspective. Actually, this is how I believe we enter into understanding our calling. When you're in your calling, you're like, it's a juicy life, juicy creation.
And that question, what do I want? When I pose that for my clients, well, what do you want? Because they come again, like, let me fix this. How do I find my desire again? But they can't answer at the beginning of working together. They can't answer yet what it is they want, what it is that brings them joy, what it is that brings them arousal anymore. They've lost their connection, many with orgasm completely. In some cases that I speak to, you sharing the client who went 20 years without one.
This is so
I
traumatic, but you see, we talk about it. I can't even talk straight about it. Seriously. It's just, if you are not having orgasm during your sex, and I mean, I understand that there are these moments we can go into the details and nuances of how, sometimes it's not just about orgasm, of course, it's just so much more than that, right? You're like, it's pleasure to pleasure someone that you love. Like we can,
Of course.
I get an orgasm from his orgasm because I'm riding his wave, because I'm just like, it's the most incredible thing to experience his pleasure within me that I'm causing to him. It's just, it's trip. It's really a trip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, But then, like, if you are having sex on a continuous basis with a person and you're not feeling orgasm as a woman, all that I know that this is rape. I do not, my body cannot comprehend it. You know what I mean? My body cannot comprehend what it means that someone comes into me and it's not happening because I crave it. Imagine living as a woman on this planet in such a way that something comes into you only when you crave it. Something touches your body, someone touches your body only when you, oh my goodness, of course I want my husband to touch me. Of course, it's like the most amazing thing. It's amazing. And how does he do it? Well, just being a good listener, being
And
someone who
that's,
genuinely.
yeah, and that's where I think one way gaps form between couples where intimacy, and I ask, well, what does touch look like and intimate conversation look like in a week? You know, like take 7 days, give me the snapshot. How often do you hug, kiss, touch, casually, even if just for a moment in passing in the kitchen? What does the spectrum of touch look like? And more often than not, they've gone years and years where they're starved for all of the touch except for the sex that they're having just to check the box to make sure. And that's when I hear the phrase, oh, it feels like a chore. And they're wanting so deeply, the desire to want is there, but the genuine desire for it is gone. But they're like, I want to want. And I say, okay,
Yeah.
well, where is all the other touch? Where is all this other spectrum? And then we have to
Mm-hmm.
get that back first. And then I go, okay, when's the last time you touched yourself? When's the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror? When's the last time you took a mirror and looked at your own vulva? And then I get some strange looks. And they're like, why? They're like, I don't know if I've ever done that. Or the last time I did that was because I
Dancing
thought,
naked in front of the mirror, dancing
yeah.
naked. And
Mm-hmm.
dancing naked, it's the next level. It's like, okay, first you just look at your body, you acknowledge that you have some hatred going on there.
Mm-hmm.
You do some work around it.
Yeah. Thank your body parts for what
A
they
lot of
did for
repetition
you.
of that cycles and practices, a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. And starting with these bite-sized practices, and then, sometimes depending, I meet my clients where they are. And then of course we stretch their edges, but sometimes the conversation is, okay, well, the next time you put lotion on your body, don't just put it on. Savor the moment of lotioning your body or oiling your body, right? And then we
Mm.
bring it into things coming back full circle. When's the last time you've been out in nature and you've taken a walk out in nature? When's the last time because that's a sensual experience too, being in nature. Is it sexual and erotic? It can be, but is it, oh,
The universe had spoken.
I think, yeah, universe,
You know
yes.
what is also going through my mind as you're saying this? I actually think that there are a lot of men who are psychologically, emotionally abused, who are deprived in their relationships, who find themselves kind of being tricked into this role, of being someone who builds someone else's dream, but their dream doesn't get to be built. And I think for a lot of men, their dream is to be loved, is to be cuddled, it's to be touched, it's to be like, we all need this. We all need this, truly.
Yeah, a lot of men, that's an excellent, this is will be, I sense it will be a whole nother conversation you and I have, just to
And what
touch
it allows you to do with your man once you work him as a clay in this way.
on. Yeah, and the amount of pressure some have put on themselves, culturally baked in, generationally baked in, societally baked in. And then just like we wear different hats as women, they're wearing different hats as men in fatherhood,
Mhm.
and the conversation about economics and how their household is taken care of,
Yeah.
and the different relationship agreements. And I'm not prescribing one being right over the other, but you arrive into a relationship sometimes with a lot of the shoulds without coming to the relationship agreements that you may actually want and build the life and the household. And then there's necessity too.
Right. And that you have to be able to shift and maneuver together, because we already established that when the two people live in this practice of, being one with the spirit, riding, the life and the consciousness. So you both understand that you're going to be shifting and changing. And I think that what really, for me at least, feels really like wholesome and rightful is that this is where the concept of we are creating pleasant environment for all of us, for two of us, and when you have a
Mm.
child, that for three of us, when you have a community, you try to have it for as many people as you can. It has to be pleasant, it has to be but in the home, right, it has to be pleasant for two of us. So we are looking, we are shifting, we are deeply listening to each other, because we understand that pleasure in each other is where the magic happens.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
power couples, that must be initiated, I believe.
Wow. Wow. I love having these chats with you, and I'm so happy that we've finally pressed record on one of them.
Yes, yes. I don't know how much we recorded, but I think we can stop because that was beautiful. How do I stop? Oh, I guess I'm just stop recording. You will receive an email notification when